Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul. In this video, we're breaking down Punisher One Last Kill. The new Marvel presentation has just dropped on Disney Plus, and it gives us a brutal day in the life of Frank Castle. It's filled with Easter eggs, nods to welcome back Frank, and also the worst thing a villain has ever done in the MCU. I don't care if Thanos killed half of all life in the universe. My guy throwing Ryan Ari's little dog in front of a truck is the worst thing a bad guy has ever done, and I won't stop until the actor's dead. But the show takes cues from John Wick beyond just that, and it's a brutal, over-the-top special presentation that actually has some pretty heavy scenes to it. Throughout this video, we'll be talking about the story, and also how it builds off the classic Welcome Back Frank arc. We've also got our Punisher shirts at the merch store below, and if you want to support the channel, you can also pick up our Daredevil and Bullseye inspired shirts there too, and I'll give you a discount since you're buying more than one.
I'm nice like that.
Anyway, we begin with the Punisher's mood board and see lots of photos and faces with X's on them. As we learn, Frank's been working his way through the Nucci family and taking out the Mars loved ones. Watching this a second time, it was actually quite nice seeing the characters here that we later see taken out in the flashbacks. Victory has come at a cost though, and Frank finds himself stuck in a bit of a weird place. The episode pretty much asks what someone has to live for if all they've been living for is revenge. The One Last Kill is very much centered around the theme of whether Frank taking his life will be the final kill that ends it all for him. Things haven't really seemed to have improved where he lives, and it looks almost as bad as Sunderland on a Friday night, eh? Little Sicily is a war zone though, and you'll be dead in the middle of Little Sicily. Little did we know that we riddled some middleman who didn't do diddly, and I got that in one! Crime is on the rise though, people are throwing dogs, and the opening asks whether the Nuccis kept things peaceful. This brutal scene, I'll never forget, even goes down in front of one of their old rundown restaurants, where we learn the Punisher took out one of the sons. It's also where the episode ends at, bringing things full circle from this opening. Now this is important as Frank ends up keeping the streets safe, standing in front of the destroyed empire of the Nuccis. This is also where we kind of take things from the Punisher Welcome Back Frank. This 12-issue Marvel Knights series was written by Garth Ennis, with it being released around the year 2000. It's a thing that pretty much all the Punisher adaptations take nods from, and if you've ever read it, it's easy to see why. Basically, a soft reboot for the character that came out during a time that things were getting bogged down in being supernatural. The Punisher Purgatory era had seen some shit about him being in purgatory and then being found by angels and sent back to Earth, which was a bit weird, but it allowed Ennis to move things forward with Welcome Back. The episode does kind of play with the idea of ghosts and visitors as Frank witnesses visions of his family and more, but I think it's handled in a really grounded way where it's clearly a vision instead of something paranormal. Welcome Back is very Ennis though, and if you've read The Boys, then you kind of know what you're in for. In it, we see Frank returning to
New York City,
where he works as a one-man war machine against the gangsters of the city. If you've played the classic PS2 game as well, then you've played some sections of this book, and I highly recommend picking up that game as well. Under the name John Smith, he rents a room and makes friends with the neighbors, all while getting revenge on those who killed his family. If you've seen the Thomas Jane movie, then I'm sure you'll recognize those moments too, but where One Last Kill changes things is that Frank isn't necessarily up for the fight at first. We actually get a great moment where he walks through the streets while crime happens around him, and he basically treats it like Toby in Spider-Man 2, seeing that guy getting beaten up down the alley. It's only after some visions of his family, a visit to their graves, Curtis Hoyle, and a cameo from Karen Page that the guy is shaken out of his apathy. Things are also pushed along by none other than Margucci, who launches an attack on him at the same time that one of her sons died. Nucci's been clearly keeping an eye on the character, and I love how you can see her car around the 11-minute mark as he walks to the graveyard. In the comic, the Nuccis are the most powerful mafia family in the city, and it's them that Frank makes his target. Nucci is a wheelchair-bound matriarch who rules the city with an iron fist, and Frank kills her sons in spectacular fashion. In the comic, she declares open season on the Punisher and puts a $10 million bounty on his head. This attracts every 2-bit hood, gangster, and crooked cop in the city, and Frank has to make a stand until he's the last one standing. The comics at this point also use this as an opportunity to bring in the Russian, who's pretty much the standout villain of the book. As Frank holds off everything thrown at him, the Nuccis eventually locate where he lives, and it turns the tenement building into a war zone. His neighbors have to arm up and help as well, and you can clearly see the seeds of that in the special. Now in the book, Frank finds that his need for isolation has driven all those around him away, and the friends that he's made make him realize that he's made a new family that kind of slightly fills the hole left by the old one. but not really, but it's like family. You've seen the stories where the message is family. The final act is a tour de force, though, in which the Maw throws everything at Frank while he works his way through the forces. Frank at one point even feeds Maw to some polar bears, which leads to her losing both her arms and legs. But she still launches herself at the character literally, and he kicks her back into a burning house, which brings an end to the villain. Now, we don't get to that point in the special, but I do think that if we get another, that's likely where they're gonna go. The Maw arrives after Frank's haunted by Hoyle, who tells him that he's got no purpose anymore, he's got no fans. He also sees a vision of himself that he becomes at the end, who acts as a vengeful guardian angel. Benucci goes to Frank and tells him about the person who's killed her family in a similar fashion to how his was taken away from him. It's during this that the pieces slowly fall into place, like 10 minutes in. Like, I don't know, mate, if you were hunting the Nuccis, would you not know that this is more Nucci straight away? But yeah, she's gonna do the punishing now, and she tells him he's got until 6:47.
I'm the one who's doing the punishing now.
Yeah, I just said that. But Punisher decides to make a stand, and we get a blood-soaked action scene as he moves through the building. It's very over the top, and kind of the thing you see them release where it's like a behind-the-scenes choreography fight that shows how much they're gonna kick ass this season. I seen that they did one for Moon Knight, and it looked absolutely amazing. And then you watch the show, and you're like, where the fuck was that scene? And here, they actually show it. It's very akin to something like The Raid or Dread, and for as thin as the plot of the special is, you cannot knock the violence. I think when it comes to this episode as well, it's not really something I'm going to remember in like a week's time, and overall, I do wish we got a bit more than 45 minutes. I've seen the complaint that people were expecting a season, and yeah, I can definitely see you being a bit disappointed when you load it up and see it's like 45 minutes long. However, I think if this is all we get, it's still a really solid short but sweet release that just gives us a day in the life of the Punisher. Just having it start out with him fighting while on fire is a great way to kick things off, and we see him duking it out to a song that sounds like it belongs in Fallout. That is Louis Armstrong's La Vie en Rose, and it's quite a sweet backing track. They really don't sanitize or soften the violence, and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. John Bernthal really gets to flex his action chops. I know Marvel's really been pushing towards making things more violent, and I remember the days where they were like, Moon Knight is the darkest thing yet. We don't hold back. But here, they actually show it all. And hey, Moon Knight is catching a lot of strays in this video. Either way, the Punisher manages to make it through, and he's given a choice over what to do. He can either go after the Maw and take his vengeance, or help a local shop owner and his family. Frank decides to go for the latter, and the Maw makes her escape to die in a special presentation another day. But it highlights the Punisher has decided to help others instead of just satisfying his never-ending quest for vengeance. That is all he was living for, but the visions in his apartment told him he had to keep going to stop others from facing the same loss that he did. He saves the store owner's daughter, who gives him a gift, and it kind of makes up for the daughter that he lost. He takes this to his grave and says his daughter was with him today before then finding a key. This is what he locked up all his stuff in at the start, but seeing this again makes him decide to keep going. In the book, the ending's a bit more bittersweet as we see the Nucci empires lying in ruins. Though Frank has won, it hasn't really changed much, and he's still a haunted man who's forever in a gang war. The special here, someone has Frank gaining the outlook that he needs to become a protector, because without the Nuccis or him, then other families will suffer. Standing in front of their destroyed restaurant, he then shoots the dog killer and finally takes out Marvel's biggest baddie. Now, as we mentioned, the Maw gets away, and we also know that Punisher's going to be popping up in Brand New Day. There I feel like he's going to continue this role of protecting New York, and possibly going against Jean Grey or the Hulk. Jean is someone who could use her psychic powers to create a war zone as she manipulates people, and it does seem like they're giving her more of an antagonist's role, if that is indeed Jean Grey. I feel like Mr. Negative would actually be a really good villain that they could use to bridge the gap between them as well, and maybe we could have him introduced in Brand New Day before becoming a true force that the Punisher could face off against. Because hey, they're both black and white, and it would look good. But his interactions with Spider-Man are going to be very, very interesting, since at this point, they're both vigilantes that aren't really in the good graces of the Avengers and stuff. As for Nucci, I can see her also amping things up, and maybe even launching a further war on the character. This could lead to things ending up like what we get in the comics, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go. For now though, One Last Kill is a great one-shot thrill that lets you see where the new Marvel is going, since they push towards taking things in a darker direction. and I'm happy to say they delivered. Hey, I did like it. Hey, I liked it. I did like it. I loved it. Yes, but I do wish that we did get something a bit more, because yeah, I don't think it's something that quite hits the impact like that the raid did, and that's also because it's like 40 minutes or whatever. Now, you could see that as me coping, but yeah, I did want a bit more, and I think had they given Frank a full hour, even that extra 15 or 20 minutes could have taken this up a notch. But for what we get, I can't really complain. So yeah, it's a bit mindless, but also really enjoyable, and I think this is another step in the right direction for Marvel in a year where the quality they've been putting out has been pretty excellent across the board so far. And I know there's been two things, but yeah, things look good for Doomsday and Spider-Man as well. Yes, I am a shill. But that's pretty much how I feel, and I hope you've enjoyed our thoughts on the special. Please drop a like on the video too, and leave a comment with all your thoughts below. If you want to follow us on Instagram and keep up to date with what we're doing, then make sure that you also check us out at Heavy Spoilers. Did you know as well that members of the channel also get early access to videos like this every single week, and if you click the join button, you get at least one breakdown a week before anyone else. Costs just 99 cents a month, and hopefully that's not a lot to you, but if a lot of you do it, it will mean a hell of a lot to us, so thank you for all your support. Now, if you want something else to watch, guess what? We've got a breakdown on screen right now, and we've also got The Boys dropping very, very soon. If not, though, huge thank you for sitting through this video. I've been your host, Paul. You've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.